Last time I saw Guns N' Roses live, I walked out bored. Axl's voice was totally off, the band had very low energy and it felt really long. I rated them 7 in my video and I was done with them. But this band was after all the soundtrack to When I Lost My Virginity, so I just couldn't resist and I had to go and see them again. And I was in for some surprises, some good ones, some bad ones, and these we need to talk about, plus the $1 million question. Can Axl Rose still sing or is he done?
I see you standing there, you make the song, 1, 2 dozen.
So this was my 6th time seeing Guns N' Roses since the reunion started. And this one was an outdoor festival with 50,000 fans. And honestly, only one show out of those 5 that I had seen before was a good one. So I went in with very low expectations. I mean, let's face it, Axl is 3 years older than last time I saw him. I'd seen some recent clips and I wasn't impressed. So yeah, I was ready for a 3-hour flop, but I was wrong. Because even with a few flaws, this performance rocked. So in this video I'm gonna break down this show, the crowd, the band, the setlist, and that elephant in the room, Axl Rose's singing. The band was on fire right out of the gate, but there was some energy this time that I just couldn't put my finger on where it was coming from. And as for individual members, then Slash was incredible. He just looks and feels like he's still in 1987. The guy could play these riffs in his sleep, but his presence, looks and style, they're just so iconic. It's wild to think that this band could actually tour without this guy on stage for a few years. And Duff. He's cool in a way that only Duff can be, and he feels kind of like the Switzerland of Guns N' Roses. He's the glue that kind of keeps together those two forces of nature, Slash and Axl Rose. And talking about Axl, he was full of energy, running around, but we're gonna talk more about him later. But then it hit me why the band is so much more energetic this time around. Meet new drummer Isac Carpenter. The guy is a beast. He's got Steven Adler's looseness and Matt Soren's power and somehow blends the two in an amazing way. And he adds a level of energy that the band has seriously been missing. The other members, Fortus, Dizzy Reed and Melissa Reese were great too, but let's be honest, this is all about Axl, Slash and Duff. The lights and show were honestly nothing great. They had some very generic videos that didn't do anything for the songs. But then again, Guns N' Roses was always about pure rock and roll, not some fancy show stuff. Still, it would have been so much cooler if they had some retro photos of the band or old footage from concerts or club shows or something like that, or even just some of their music videos. The crowd was buzzing almost from the first minute to the last, but there were some head-scratching moments in the setlist with songs like Hard School, Absurd, Down on the Farm and Wichita Linesman. These songs could easily have been skipped because they didn't really connect to the fans, and that starts hurting when the show is almost 3 hours long. For an open-air outdoor event like this, the sound was really good. But the vocals, they were way too dominant in the mix. But we're gonna talk more about that when we talk about Axl. As for the setlist, there were 29 songs if you count Slash's guitar solo as a song. And this setlist gave you everything that you want as a Guns N' Roses fan. There were 7 songs from Appetite for Destruction. There were 8 songs off the Use for Illusion albums, and there were 3 from Chinese Democracy. It's actually not so different from the setlist that I saw 3 years ago, but it somehow felt shorter, it didn't drag out as much. I know it's weird to say with almost 30 songs in 3 hours that it didn't feel long. They were jamming less, there were no kind of drawn out crowd chanting things like in Knocking on Heaven's Door that have been doing for years. And in general, Axl didn't really overwork the crowd with some constant sing-alongs or needless chatting between songs. So it just felt that they were pushing the pace faster this time. Now let's talk about Axl Rose. There were moments there where he genuinely surprised me. In some songs, he fucking nailed it. Like, holy shit. That's late 80s Axl Rose. But then there were other songs where he really, really struggled. But here's the kicker, he was much better now than 3 years ago, and I have some theories about why. First of all, he lost weight. That for sure helps. Most great singers in the later part of their career have that in common. They keep themselves in shape. The whole energy in the band is much higher now thanks to that new drummer. And last but not least, Axl actually seems to be having fun. He even made fun of himself when he let out a weird sound at the end of one of the songs. And when the song finished, he started talking and he said, "I don't know what sound this was. It kind of sounded like a step on a baby seal, which would have been a very tragic incident." So when he was on at this concert, he was really on. But when it was off, it was rough. But I don't think he makes it easier for himself. First of all, the setlist is just very long. I mean, most legacy bands do 20 songs at most. I mean, even some do 12, 15 songs. But not Axl Rose. He's doing 29 songs every 2 to 3 days. Most of the songs involve some heavy screaming. Secondly, he runs around non-stop while trying to sing. That's not easy for a guy his age. I mean, the guy is 63 years old. I can barely talk when I'm doing a brisk walk. Now the third thing is the vocal mix, because when Axl Rose is screaming or trying to scream, he needs a lot of volume. And then when he's switching to the clean vocals, he often comes in very, very hot, leaving him very exposed, and it often sounded weird. And I actually have a feeling that this is being mixed on the fly somehow, and that must be a nightmare scenario for the guy on the mixer board. And the fourth thing, which is both a good and a bad thing, the guy is fucking fearless. He goes all in. Nothing is slowed down, he's not using the crowd as crutches, and he's not relying on the backing vocals of the band. Most people in his shoes wouldn't even try the stuff that he does, and if they did, they would use every trick in the book to get away with it. But that would not be on brand when it comes to Axl Rose. He has never been, and hopefully never will be, like the rest of us. So can Axl Rose still sing, or is it game over? He's not perfect, but when he's on, he still hits like nobody else. This was the best I've seen him since the reunion kicked off. And you could feel it, the crowd was with him. They were cheering for the big moments and for giving the rough ones. So with the new energy and sort of a more driven show and Axl being stronger than before, I'm actually gonna give this concert 9 out of 10. Have you seen Guns N' Roses since the reunion? Was Axl on form, or was it a bad day at the office? Tell me in the comments below. And if you like stuff like this, now might be the perfect time to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because then you won't miss the next drop. And talking about legacy bands, I actually went to see Iron Maiden the other day, and I came out of there wondering, is it time for them to hang up the boots and retire?